The ACLU has long been synonymous with freedom of speech. They defended it from even the most hated groups like the Nazis, the Klan, even the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was never about what you were saying. It was about the liberal principle of your right to say it. Well, they have new guidelines now, namely that before taking a case, ACL lawyers should consider if the case might cause offense to marginalized groups, or if a potential client's values are contrary to our values. Contrary to our values? Your values?
Once the proud defender of free speech for everyone. Even for the most despised groups like Nazis, the Klan, and Jehovah's Witnesses, the ACLU now faces an identity crisis. Bill Maher highlights the irony of an organization founded on the principle of absolute expression, now screening cases through a moral lens of values and offense. The new rule that lawyers must first consider whether a case might offend marginalized groups betrays the ACLU's very foundation. Free speech was never about protecting comfort. It was about protecting freedom, especially the kind that challenges or unsettles. Maher's critique cuts deep. If the ACLU fears offense, it has already surrendered to the culture of censorship. In its attempt to appear virtuous, it risks abandoning the very liberal principle that made it relevant. Defending the right to speak, not the right to feel safe from words.
The opposite of what you always were, you have to change your name. It's become a trend in America these days, morphing into something completely different from what you were founded as, but still pretending you're the old you. TLC stands for the Learning Channel. They used to have shows like Learn to Read and Ready, Set, Learn. Here's some of their present and recent offerings. Cake Boss, Gypsy Sisters, Toddlers and Tiaras, Extreme Couponing, What Not to Wear, My Teen is Pregnant and So Am I. 1,000-Pound Sisters and Alaskan Women Looking for Love. And
Maher skewers TLC, the Learning Channel, for abandoning its original mission of education and enlightenment. Once home to programs like Ready, Set, Learn, it has become a carnival of chaos with titles like 1,000-Pound Sisters and My Teen is Pregnant and So Am I. He argues that TLC traded knowledge for spectacle, preferring clicks and controversy over curiosity. What was once a network to uplift minds now panders to the lowest impulses of voyeurism. Maher's criticism isn't nostalgia. It's a warning about how corporations chase short-term attention instead of long-term integrity. TLC's transformation mirrors a larger trend. When entertainment loses its soul, culture loses its compass. In the pursuit of inclusion and relevance, substance quietly dies.
seriously, they used to show the symphony. Now they have Deep Fried Dynasty, Hoarders, Storage Wars, Ghost Hunters, and Psychic Kids. You know, for people who find the Learning Channel too intellectual.
Once a sanctuary for culture and performance, A&E, arts and entertainment, has reduced itself to a parade of reality junk food. Maher recalls when it aired symphonies and documentaries. Now it's Storage Wars and Ghost Hunters. His sarcasm lands sharply. For people who find the Learning Channel too intellectual, the mockery exposes a serious decay. When art becomes an afterthought, entertainment becomes empty. Maher's point is that networks have betrayed their own missions while pretending otherwise. The A in A&E no longer stand for arts. It stands for absent. In their eagerness to join the ideological trends and chase viewership, these channels have forgotten why they existed at all. The result is mediocrity dressed as modernity.
The History Channel has no history, and MTV has no music. I'm just saying, you can buy a petting zoo and turn it into a bondage dungeon, but you gotta change the sign.
Maher then turns his gaze on Playboy, the legendary magazine that once celebrated confidence, beauty, and rebellion. Its decision to feature a gay man on the cover, while meant to signal inclusivity, instead revealed how far it had drifted from its essence. He quips that this wasn't courage but desperation, an attempt to seem progressive in a marketplace already saturated with representation. Playboy, he argues, didn't evolve. It capitulated. Once a symbol of masculine sophistication, it now appears like a relic trying too hard to be trendy. In chasing approval from a very crowd that never needed Playboy, the brand alienated those who once admired it. Maher sees this not as growth, but as cultural amnesia, a brand forgetting what made it special.
Guess we're supposed to celebrate, even though it was 2021 and there's already a dozen magazines for gay guys, 13 if you count Martha Stewart Living. Do we really need LGBT representation in Playboy? There's a transgender teenager on every show on television except reruns of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Maher ridicules Sports Illustrated for transforming its swimsuit issue from a celebration of beauty and athleticism into a forced display of ideological correctness. He jokes that it now celebrates all kinds of bodies, except, the good kind. Beneath the humor lies a serious observation. The modern obsession with representation often ignores merit, excellence, and the joy of aspiration. Maher's frustration is not with diversity, but with the dilution of standards under the guise of fairness. Once a light-hearted tribute to glamour, the magazine now reads like a political statement. When every creative choice becomes a moral test, art and entertainment suffocate. Maher reminds us that inclusion loses meaning when it's driven by guilt instead of inspiration.
Swimsuit issue, which now celebrates all kind of bodies except, the good kind. Was it really such a crime against humanity to have one magazine once a year that was about finding creative ways for supermodels to hide their nipples? Now it looks like it's edited by the Huffington Post.
Here, Maher moves from media critique to cultural diagnosis. He argues that modern culture has declared open season on masculinity. Shows routinely depict men as bumbling, immature, or emotionally broken, while women are portrayed as flawless moral heroes. The phrase toxic masculinity has become a weapon to shame rather than understand. Maher insists that celebrating women should not mean diminishing men. Masculinity itself, strength, competitiveness, and leadership, isn't the enemy. The loss of balance is. The cultural script that ridicules men for simply being masculine breeds resentment, not equality. True progress, Maher suggests, should uplift both genders without rewriting human nature into guilt and self-hatred.
It wasn't complicated. Flowers, chocolates, blah. And yet, every year now, I more and more hear this idea that Valentine's Day is also a day to celebrate being alone. Be your own Valentine. That's right. On the one day was specifically set aside to honor bonding between two people. Don't do that. Make it about the opposite of that. Be your own Valentine. Get your own cheap, stale chocolates at CVS.
Maher's take on Valentine's Day exposes how even love has been politicized. What was once a light-hearted day for romance and connection has been rebranded into a festival of self-love. The slogan, "Be Your Own Valentine," sound empowering, but really mocks the spirit of intimacy. Maher sees it as another casualty of the woke tendency to redefine joy as selfishness. Instead of celebrating affection, society now glorifies solitude and independence as moral superiority. His satire cuts through the irony. A holiday designed for togetherness now celebrates being alone. In trying to remove dependency, modern culture risks removing humanity itself. Love, he argues, isn't a weakness. It's what makes life worth sharing.